Hey everyone, welcome back to Start Your Week with a Coach. I am your certified high performance coach, Sean Butner, and this week we're talking about 5 mindset hacks to help you generate a positive attitude and a positive mind going forward each day, each week, each month, and each year. So start your week great. Start your week with a coach. I'm your host, certified high performance coach, Sean Butner, and we're going to talk about something that'll help you advance in your life this week. So let's go. We've all gone through quite a lot these past few years, and as a coach and as I've been working with people this year, I've noticed that there are a whole lot of people that are stuck in survival mode, are stuck in feeling trapped or feeling constrained or feeling like they can't take chances, they can't take risks, they can't bet on themselves, they can't invest in themselves, and it's heartbreaking. I think if you're stuck there and you can't move on, then you're really going to miss a huge opportunity as we start to shift out of uncertainty, as things get a little bit more certain, as we figure out the whole like economy thing, as organizations start to perform a bit better after we've had a lot of people, a lot of organizations shook out of the economy for a whole variety of reasons in the past few years. So it used to be that you'd put in hours or do your job and then work all sorts of crazy hours, do a long commute, and you come back. And we're now in a world where that's not necessarily a case depending on the type of work you do. So if you're a knowledge worker, if you're someone that uses expertise that doesn't require like a physical footprint, so if you're not a mechanic or line worker at a factory or service member, cashier, bank teller, those types of things where you might need to be physically at your job to work, the world is your oyster, and the world has shifted, and the organizations and folks that can take advantage of being able to work from anywhere, being able to move their family to where housing might be cheaper so they can have a higher quality of life, or people that realize that people can be more productive and impactful if they're not dealing with a long commute 5 days a week, 7 days a week, or that we don't need to load up people with busy work just to have them idly contribute, when if they focus on getting the important things done, that's going to drive real value and real sales and real impact with customers and your business. So as we're in this new world, and we spent the last year probably figuring it out, how to do Zoom, last 2 years figuring out Zoom, the digital world, how do we want to set up our teams, what kind of work do we really want to do. It's become extremely important to have those skills, but it's important to, at this point in time, to start to push, to start to progress, to start to make big moves for yourself and your family, because this is the best opportunity, right? I have not seen opportunity like this since 2007, 2008, after all the housing stuff happened, because there's a lot of pain and hurt that happened in the economy worldwide and in the US here, but there's also a lot of companies that came out on top then, right? Because if you think before 2007 and the financial crisis, there really wasn't an iPhone. YouTube really wasn't a thing. Facebook was relatively unknown. So a lot of these tech companies really accelerated there. Amazon still wasn't the giant that it is today. It was Walmart. It was Target. It was, Best Buy still had a pretty big presence back then. And those players couldn't adapt to online, couldn't adapt to the new mobile market, and were left behind for the people that were able to take that chance. And I think we're in that type of zone here today also. So what is going to prevent people from really putting themselves on their line, doing the things that are, investing in the skills that they need today to really ride that wave that I think we're going to be seeing here in the next year? And that ultimately comes to one of the very basic things in personal development, that is mindset, right? So we need to be thinking about mindset and how do I feel day to day? And is that optimistic? Is it keeping me on task? Is it serving me towards, readying myself or catching a ride on that wave as we go into the future with all these, probably a bunch of companies we don't even know will start to explode. So how are we preparing ourselves for that? How are we maintaining healthy mindsets during the week, during the month, and during this year, especially when there's a lot of uncertainty, especially when it could be scary, or you could find yourself in a bad spot if your work doesn't go all that well. So I want to say that as a coach, I work with mindset all the time with folks, but personally, there was a time early on in my career in tech where it was right after 2007. I think it was 2008. It was my second actual official year working after college, and I was burning out. I would wake up, jump in the shower. I'd have an automatic drip coffee maker. So, I'd go, dump a bunch of coffee into my body, into a big cup, as I had a cup while I was, rushing to get out the door, feed the cat, and then, I had it down to in 15 minutes, I could be in the car, probably more like 20 minutes, in the car, washed, made up and ready to sit in front of a computer for 12 hours or whatever. And so, with that kind of jump into it process, and then at work, I never felt like I could control my work. There's always a fire. There was always something more important than the project work that I was assigned to go and tackle, so that at the end of the day, I was exhausted, and I always felt like I was falling behind in my work. And maybe you've felt that way in your life. And so, ultimately, that started to get me to feel a lot more insecure. What am I doing here? So there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that came up. Maybe you've had that in your career or an area of your life. I started to really, just hate my job, right? There's a lot of resentment in not feeling like I was in control of what I worked on and what I focused on, honestly, and it's not that you have to have 100% control when you work for another organization, but it's also to say, I can't carve out 3 hours to focus on my project work to get something done each day because there's all these other demands going on. And so I would wake up and, fill my giant pot, get the pot of coffee, dump it in my big cup, have a cup, feed the cat, all the time being like, man, I hate my job. Man, I hate my job. Oh, I really hate this job. And I noticed after a while I was super stressed, super just exhausted, right? And so eventually I figured something had to give, right? It was either I was going to have a mental breakdown, or I was going to figure out a different way. And I chose to at least do the nerd thing and research what I could do. I knew that part of my problem too, because I was burning out, is I wasn't working out. So I signed up for a marathon at that time, and I started to do journaling. And that was one of the first big breakthroughs I had in my own mindset, coming up. And that was just, doing a positive reframe of that. I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. It was, I don't love my job yet. I don't love my job yet. And that subtle shift of language, especially if that was the thing that kept repeating in my head over and over, the whole day when I was at my job, helped me feel a little bit less upset about what was going on. And that gave me the space to start to shift and figure out what I needed to do to get into a place that was really great. So it's so important that we tend our mindset. It's so important that we create a positive mindset, because that thing that creeped in my head about I hate my job, just I don't remember actively willing that to happen. It just kind of happened because I wasn't intentful on how I wanted to feel. And so it is so important that we have habits, and we have routines, and we have tools that can help us create a healthy, positive mindset. Because as soon as I got that mindset fixed, I was able to shift in the organization where I was working, which was Walmart at the time, Walmart corporate, and found a job that was more suited to my skills, from all my education. So I felt a little bit more confident there, and that little bit of confidence went a long way in being able to talk to software engineers, being able to talk to people in the business, get them to communicate a bit better, or at least have some better clarity for each other, so that the project would be run a lot smoother. And I was really, really awesome and great at that. And so, but it started with a mindset shift. It started with me figuring out that I can't feel miserable every day, and something needed to change. So today I have 5 different mindset hacks or mindset strategies that can help you really shift your mindset and generate that positive, optimistic mindset. So if you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like you're underwater, you feel like you're always stressed, you feel like you hate your job every day, that you can shift that. You can turn that ship and get to a space where your mindset's right, so that your actions and your feelings and your behaviors will then start to shift and get you to where you need to go. And hopefully that is where you are, again, working towards that big goal that you have for yourself, to provide and have more abundance for yourself, your family, to really make a bigger impact in your community, because that's what this is all about. Have that underlying meaning in your life. So, okay, here are the 5 different mindset hacks or strategies that I have. I hate the word hacks. I'm gonna call it strategies from here on out. But and as you're going through this, grab something to take some notes with, and think of each of these strategies in time, right? What can you do today? What can you do this week? What can you do every month? And what can you do every year to kind of help solidify this habit in your life? Because a lot of times it might seem like common sense. I have a mentor that says common sense isn't always common practice. And I love that quote. So as we're talking through these again, think about how you can implement this, even if it seems really simple, or maybe you already do some of these things, and I want to cheer you on to say, like, how could you do it better or more efficiently, or have it create a bigger impact in your day-to-day, so that you see and feel that mindset shift. Yeah, okay. Habit number 1 is a gratitude journal. This is like personal development 101, but just we're so focused on the negative a lot of the times. Our brains are wired to pick that stuff up because it used to be survival. Sometimes it can feel like, super stress because you're not surviving. Our brains can kind of trick you into feeling like that person that snubbed you in the meeting at work, is threatening your life for being, ostracized from the group, when really, in reality, it's just that person's a jerk, or it's not going to get you kicked out necessarily, right? So the gratitude journal does a bunch of really great things for your brain. The first thing, if you can accomplish it first thing when you get out of the bed in the morning, my buddy Michael Seeley shared this habit with me on my podcast, The Meaningful Revolution, which go check out if you haven't yet. I'd love to have you there. But he talks about his work with athletes. He's a psychologist that works with athletes, and that so many athletes have a gratitude practice. And so his practice that he shares with his clients, and he learned from his folks, is to, before you go to bed, you get a piece of paper, you write, I am grateful for 1, 2, 3, go to bed, you wake up. The first thing you do when you wake up is to fill out the 3 things that you are grateful for, that you are thankful for, that you appreciate about your life. And it could be big or small, right? And this is a really good daily habit, so we'll talk about that habit. But during the week, it could be, your day-to-day could just be things you're grateful for. Every week, it could be things that you're proud that you accomplished, And if you're not proud that you accomplished things, it's things that you are proud to have done, or people that you are proud to have, supported or helped that week. And so, having that the daily review, that weekly review, thinking about things that you are grateful for the past month. On the first of the month, you think of the last month, like what was I the most grateful for? Going through all those notes, and then every year reviewing those notes that you took daily and weekly throughout the year can make a ton of difference in just how you feel every day. If you start that day thinking like, yeah, I'm a pretty lucky guy or a pretty lucky gal, and I have a spouse that loves me, I got healthy kids, I got healthy family, I got a job that I best tolerate, or I have a job that I absolutely love, which is even better, then you are rocking and ready to go. And if you can't, this is a great, again, exercise to push yourself. And I, as your coach, am going to push you to do this. So if you could, make sure you do this. Try it for the next week. And I think you'll see a huge shift in just how your outlook is each day. And the longer you can do it, the better. Again, it's a simple technique, super powerful. Okay. Second, mindset strategy that can really help you is if you have awareness of the things that you tell yourself every day. Like for me and my story was I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, right? Having a way to positively reframe that isn't lying, isn't sugarcoating it, but, can change the emotional impact because words have emotionality behind them, whether or not. And hate is a very strong emotion that conjures that idea. So just shifting, like, I don't love my job yet, was kind of embedding like, oh, I can love my job, so that's possible, number one. And number two, like, you can get stuck in the hate, but if you're like, I just don't love this yet, it gives you an out, right? And so other people are like, hey, I'm too old to switch jobs or to get hired at this place. And the positive reframe is you have a lot of experience to bring to this particular job that, can make you super impactful. Because even if it's true, if a company is super unethical and will not hire you because you're above a certain age, you don't need to take that on, right? You don't need that negative juju. You need to make sure that you, have that perspective. Like, oh, I have a lot to offer. I have a lot of experiences. I have a lot of different areas of life. Maybe you're going into software and you used to work in finance. And so you have that financial knowledge and how money works and, the financial system. And so that could be really good in just understanding how a company is working. So you have a lot to bring to the table. Your experiences make you uniquely qualified and in a way that a lot of people aren't. I firmly believe each of our experiences is valuable and can be very, super valuable. So especially if you're in an area or team that doesn't have a lot of diverse experiences. So positive reframe is so important. It's like Indiana Jones swapping out the gold statue for the sack of sand in that one movie that he did, and then he runs away from the giant boulder trap, right? So we want to be able to switch those and positively reframe those negative thoughts. Okay. Third mindset strategy is to just physically burn out your emotions, right? And what do I mean by that? That means that moving your body, taking care of your body, sometimes can be enough to help you feel better. And when you feel better, you'll think better, right? So it's kind of a different angle on improving your mindset, but it is super important. Like when I was super stressed with that job, I signed up for a marathon to train. That's how stressed out I was. I'm like, it sounds like a good idea. Really, really struggling over 26.2 miles and feeling that pain is less than the stress that I was going through. So it's really important that, and I found out that like, as I was training, you get to like, for me, it was like after 4 miles, like the brain like gets focused and clear, that tight feeling of stress in your chest or elsewhere in your body kind of relaxes, and you're just kind of breathing and in the moment. And it's such a gift if you are highly stressed out. So how can you go for a walk if you're not into running? How could you lift some weights or just do some body squats or whatever great for your body, right? Like talk to your health professionals before you start anything new, but like get into it, get moving. As a high performance coach, we're always talking about how do you beat consistent results without hurting your relationships and without hurting your health and wellness. And so sometimes if you've been neglecting that wellness part or that health part, that can really help shift your head into a more positive space. So super, super powerful ingredient. So what can you do every day? Or do you have like a weekly cadence of training, or how are you grading yourself over the month and year, day, week, month, and year? On a scale of 1 to 10, like how healthy was I? How well did I move? With 10 being like I was always moving, never sat down, and 1 being like I never got out of bed, right? Assign a number for yourself each day and review it each week, month, and year. And give yourself 3 words on why you assign that value to, why you gave yourself a 7 that day, right? It could be good, it could be bad, and then think, what could I do about it? And just that simple assessment, that simple intention to maintain your health can be all the difference you need. That's how I went from not being able to run 5 minutes in a row over 9 months into training and accomplishing a 26.2 mile run. So it is possible, and you can do it, and I'm cheering you on. So there you go. Okay. Number 4, the 4th strategy for your mindset is to really work on that aspirational future for you, which is just thinking about how your life could be better in the future, could be different in the future. And it doesn't have, like, you can go crazy and really, like, it doesn't have to be super based in reality, but it'll help you if you can see a path towards that. So, there is some type of journaling or aspirational, like, envisioning where you can imagine and kind of escape, which is sometimes fun and why we do movies and books and stuff like that. But it's a little bit more impactful if you're like, what's my ideal house? What's in the yard? Like, how many fruit trees? Is a long driveway, short driveway? Now let's go through each room of my ideal house, right? Or it could be, what's my ideal career? Like, what am I doing? Who am I working with? Who am I helping? What impact am I leaving? What legacy am I leaving? And just connecting with that dream again. I think so many of us had our worlds shrunk this last few years, and if you got stuck there and you didn't start like pushing on the boundaries to see, like, oh yeah, I don't have to just live in my house or live in my town. Like, maybe it's time to go see family again. Maybe it's time to go see friends. Maybe it's time to get out in the world again, and feel confident that you can manage that, right? I've heard this idea that so many people feel like they forgot how to interact with people, and it's kind of funny. Like, I think people are more crabby, and so it's kind of a cop-out, and it's an excuse, but we're hardwired to interact with folks, and so even if it is a little weird, that's benefit of the doubt, it's weird, right? It's still cathartic. We can still work through it. We can notice it and make fun of, like, nobody's wearing pants because they got used to not wearing pants on Zoom, stuff like that. I thought that was funny. Anyways, okay, so that aspirational thinking can really help you create hope or create a sense of like, oh, like, if I want to change my career and get to a place where I feel like I'm growing and contributing and collaborating and in a great environment, and it's helping me, take care of what I have to for, surviving and eating and providing for the family, like, that in itself could generate a lot of positive feelings, a lot of positive outlook on life, which is the whole idea for these. Okay. And the 5th and probably most underutilized strategy for generating a positive mindset is what I call resilience planning, right? And all that is thinking about, like, this week, what do I need to accomplish? and what could go wrong, right? So it's like, I have this big project I'm working on. I know that I need these 3 people on it, and I know one person was just traveling internationally and might be sick, right? What am I going to do if one of the people calls in? How am I going to react as a business owner? Or how am I going to manage if, my spouse ends up working late and misses our date night? Like, how am I going to handle that with grace? How am I going to make that night still special if we don't get to go to our favorite restaurant or do the special date thing? It's this pre-planning. So it's like, if this happens, then we do this. And it can be like night and day when you plan for something. You think, like, what would be the worst thing that happened in this particular situation? Like, if this happens, I will do X, Y, Z. Like, knowing what you have to do and having it planned out before, even if you don't go into it too much, can really help you handle it much more coolly, and you're not like freaking out trying to like figure it out, like, oh no, I know what to do. And that certainty, that clarity of what to do next is the magic of that resilience planning. And with the caveat that, of course, you can't plan for every different thing that could go wrong. But, I think it was Eisenhower said that a plan is worthless, but planning is invaluable. And it's just, the more you practice this muscle of being flexible, of like, oh, okay, like we can figure this out in a different way, the more positive you'll be that you yourself can handle any situation. And that is super powerful. So, okay, guys, so we got these 5 mindset hacks for you, mindset strategies, the gratitude journal, positive reframing, physically burning emotion off, thinking about your aspirational future, and then resilience planning. I'm sure if you don't do any of these, any one of these would be really helpful for you. If you're just starting out, I would say the gratitude journal is the easiest, and there's tons of other resources online for people that can really help you out with that. So I think that would be super impactful for you. But, now is the time to be getting your mindset straight. Like I said, like, we have this world shift that has happened, and we know that personal development all starts with mindset, which is why we're talking about this today. So get your mindset right. Try this out this week. Do the gratitude journal every day this week. See how that feels, guys. Let me know what works for you or what doesn't. Reply back to the email if you're on the newsletter. That would be great. Or you can email support@SeanButner.com and we'll get back to you. Cheer you on. I do have a new community that I'm working on and I should have live in the next couple of weeks. So keep on the lookout for that, because that'll be a new way for y'all to interact and, let's meet each other and cheer each other on and build a really great community. I'd love to do that for y'all. And I hope y'all would want to be a part of that. So, all right, guys, that's it. Go out there, live with more joy, more personal growth, and more impact in your communities. This is Sean Butner saying, let's be positive this week, guys. You got this. I know you got this, and we'll talk to you then. Take care.